Hey, Bestie, welcome to another edition of the Bestie Advice. I am your host, Irene, and I'm here with my bestie, Karen. Hey, girl.
Hey, Irene. Hey, besties out there.
And we are so excited for this show. Today's show is no different than the other shows that we've had in this series of Upgrade. But today we're talking about upgrading your business. So I know so many people want to be entrepreneurs, they have the aspiration to be entrepreneurs, to start their business. Well, I
Yes.
have the business mastermind with us on today. Her name is Roxanne Charles. And let me tell you, she is extremely, extremely humble, but she is one of the smartest people I think I've ever met. She is the president and CEO of West Side Forward. She has her own business. She worked for the American Red Cross. She worked for so many different huge Fortune 500 companies and chains, as well as she has an amazing daughter, Heaven, who she's also grooming to be the next big CEO, is a marketing guru. I absolutely love Roxanne. When I have business questions or when I have questions about what I need to do, Roxanne is the person that I go to. She is an expert in operations, marketing. She helps so much with like business automation. She believes that you should streamline your business to make yourself work smarter and not harder. And I learned from her when it comes to your unique value proposition, you are your own unique value proposition because
That's
she will
right.
tell you nobody is big can beat me at being me. And so without further ado, I would want to welcome my dear friend Roxanne Charles. Hey Roxanne.
Hi there. Thank you for that amazing intro. I'm like, who is that person? Oh, it's me. Right,
It's
it's me.
you. Thank you
Pleasure
so
to be
much for
here.
being on the podcast.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yes. Thank you, Roxanne, for joining us. I know that you are a very, very busy woman. So we thank you for taking the time out
Sure.
and deciding to come on and share your wisdom and your advice in regards to upgrading our businesses. So I do just want to go ahead and just kick it off actually with a question right behind that.
Okay.
What is your definition of upgrading or improving your business?
That's a good question. That's a great question. And there's so many tentacles to that answer. But I'm going to try to honor our time because I can go on forever. Um, for me, I always start with the end in mind, which is what, when I say end in mind, I mean me as an individual, as a person. And so that end in mind for me is when I make my ascension to my next level, whatever that is, what do I want to be known for? Right. And so um, it's more important what people say and think about you when you're not present versus what you say and think about yourself. And so when you think about your business, to me, your business should always be in alignment with how you're designing your life, what you're designing your life to be. So when you're thinking about upgrading your business, I think you first have to be in complete alignment and agreement with what type of life it is you aspire to live, who
Yeah.
it is, how you aspire to show up in this world, and what is your purpose that you're operating in on purpose every single day. To me, you can't answer the question about upgrading your business unless and until you're clear about that. So when you're ready to upgrade your business, you should have done a full and complete audit and do a reset on your how you speak to yourself, how you think about yourself,
Oh yeah.
what your value proposition is, who and how you share space with others being people, places, and things, and what it is you ultimately are looking to achieve outside of money. Although that may sound counterintuitive to some, Money is not your main goal. It's your secondary goal, right? Because I believe that we're going to make money in business. I believe that we're all going to be successful. It's a matter of how that happens.
Yeah.
So money should never be the reason why you're in business because you're going to get to that. What's the
Okay.
other driving force behind being in business? So when to back to answer your question, how do you upgrade your business? You answer all those questions first
Yeah.
and be in agreement with those questions first. And then you think about how do you want to live your life, right? And for me, an example, when I was a full-time entrepreneur, one of the best times of my life, I always wanted to be in full command of my time, right? I know I only wanted to work a certain hour, a certain amount of hours a day, a certain amount of weeks a month, a certain amount of months a year. So I started with that in mind. Obviously, I knew how much revenue I needed to generate in order to make that happen. So that was my first goal, right? And so when I'm thinking about upgrading my business, what kind of systems and processes, which is my area of focus, can I put in place in order to make that happen? I also wanted to make sure that I was always physically and emotionally present for my family. And you can't do that if you're spending, 15 hours out of the day working
Right.
in your business or
Yeah.
on your business.
Yes.
I know that was a long answer, but it's never it's first of all, it's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's no right or wrong answer. And however you design your upgrade, it has to be unique to you, your business, and your life.
That's good.
So, Roxanne, you worked with a lot of different businesses, and what do you think is one central theme when it comes to um, gaps? Like, we want to upgrade our business, we want to take our business to the next level. Um,
Mhm.
and you and I have had a lot of these similar conversations. But what did you say would be like something that's missing? Like, you can go from a business that's surviving to a business that's thriving. Like, what's always missing? A key element that an entrepreneur that's listening to this could be like, you know what, I'm missing this too. This
Yeah.
one key.
Yeah, so there's 3 to 4 gaps always. The first
Mhm.
is mindset, the
Yep.
second is expectation, um, the third is commitment, and the fourth is money.
It's always money. And when it comes, what is it about? It has to be a mindset.
For
What
sure.
what can entrepreneurs do? Let's flip this. What can entrepreneurs do to better understand their money, their finances, like what you have going in, what you have going out? Realistically, how much money do you need to have in reserves? Like,
Yeah.
what can entrepreneurs do to better understand where they are financially? Because that's the number one
Yeah.
reason why businesses close. They run out of
Yeah.
those resources.
Yes.
In my experience, what needs to happen is you need to get honest about your money situation.
Hmm.
You have to get honest about how much money you are spending out versus what you're bringing in currently as just a regular individual, even before
Yeah.
you think about becoming an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
Number one, when you're clear about that, then you know how much money you have to work with. One. So first of all, it's just being honest. The second thing that I mentioned is mindset and expectations, right? So you can't operate from a mindset of scarcity or lack
Right.
or fear when you're thinking about becoming a business owner because that's just doesn't work, right?
Mhm.
Every dollar you spend in and on your business, you have to consider it an investment. And you have to believe, like nobody else, that you're going to be successful and your investment in your business is going to come back tenfold. So you're no longer concerned that this money that I'm spending, um, I'm not going to recover from it because that, you believe that what you believe. And I'm not going to go off into my spiel I give my clients when they come in. Um, about your unique value proposition, right? So you have to believe that. The other thing is you have to be clear about what it is you're willing to give. What investments and sacrifice are you willing to give? You know, we often go through this exercise with folks about this is how much money you make, this is how much
Right.
money, you know, when you're done covering all of your necessities, this is what you have to work with. A lot of people say, I can't afford to invest in this tool, this coach, this
Mhm.
software, this program. You can't afford it, or are you not willing to make that investment,
Right.
right? Because we
Mhm.
all have things we spend money on a daily basis that we really don't need to spend money on. You know, we
Mhm.
spend it because we want to, because it's
Yeah.
our thing. My thing is coffee. Really just coffee. But I could easily do away with that if I needed to figure out how to come up with an extra 150 or $200. You know,
Right.
Mhm.
not that hard. So people just have to be honest. That's why I said honesty first. You have to be honest about what it is you're willing to put on the table and how hard are you willing to work for it. I always tell folks, especially those that I work with, I can't want this more for you than you want it for yourself. It's not going to
Exactly.
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Like I cannot and I can and I won't box with you about your focus, your mission, your
Mhm.
values, your legacy. I'm not going to box with you about that. If it's not that important to you, then so be it.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yes, it is. So just thinking about some of these aspiring business owners and
Yeah,
aspiring entrepreneurs, they may still be working their regular 9 to 5, 2 to 12, whatever hours they may be working right now.
that's
But
right.
they have decided that they do want to go into business for themselves. What are some of those initial steps that they need to take? you know, uh, Outside of saying, I'm going to post everything and here is a link, go to that link and you can buy whatever you want, but
Yeah.
the right way to do things. What are the initial steps they need to take before starting their business?
So I want to couch this by saying
Mhm.
there's a lot of different ways to get to wherever it is you're trying to go,
Hmm.
right? And so I'm going to share the Roxanne way. It's a lot of the other ways, but I'm
Right.
going to share, what I've been doing for over 30 years. And so the first thing is just again, and I'm almost always gonna come back to the same things. Decide that this is what's important to you. So
Yeah.
to decide, because there are going to be a lot of distractions and things that come up along this journey. So you have to very early in your process be in agreement that you're committed to this journey and to this process. The second thing is you need to get clear about your time and your current commitments because you're going to have to invest new time, and
Yeah.
there are only 24 hours in a day. You're going to have to invest time into making this happen. So you're going to have to figure out, what you're willing to invest. You also need to have a conversation with the people that are important in your life to let them know this is what I'm getting ready to embark on. And so it's going to mean this or that for our relationship or, my level of availability for you. That's friends, loved ones, significant others, whomever it might be. So once we take care of those things, none of which is necessarily about your business yet, and people usually skip those things and get right into, I need a business plan, I need a logo, I need a website. No, you don't. You need to
Mhm.
reconcile those three things
Right.
first
Yeah.
and then say, okay, what is from my again experience, the businesses that are most successful is the thing that they would do even if they weren't getting paid for it, right?
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because when you get in these entrepreneurship streets and it gets rough out here, business gets slow, clients dry up, the market turns upside down,
Yeah.
which, then what, right? And so you need to have a business that you're so passionate about. The money is just a bonus.
Right.
The purpose work is the whole purpose of it.
Mhm.
So decide what type of business it is you're going to embark on, and then go about the business of setting up your infrastructure. What are the tools and the resources that you need to be successful? What software do you need? What software do you need? What education do you need? What type of a coach do you need? What book do you need? What networking groups do you need to be a part of? All those kinds of things. There's a lot of things that YouTube University can teach us,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of things that they can't. You really need
Yeah.
to share space with others that are on the same journey as you to
Mhm.
be able to figure out what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And the only way to figure that out is to share spaces with those kind of people. And then I would say the second, or maybe the probably the sixth thing is to just do it.
Just
To
do it.
just do it because you won't realize what you're missing until you actually put it into practice. And then
Yeah.
you identify, oh, there's a gap here. I need to tighten that up, or I need to approach it a different way. So many people spend years and years and years and years and years building their business, getting ready to start the business,
Mm.
but never actually move forward. And a lot of that is just is fear. It's
Yeah.
fear of the unknown. And it's also some parts of fear of success. You know, there's a lot of, again, mindset talk, and people talk themselves in or out of things, right? The talking yourself out of thing is assuming what others around you are going to say or think about you. You know, there's a lot of this people saying, or you assuming people will say, who do you think you are?
Right.
Why do you think you're able to
Hmm.
start this business, right?
Yeah.
And so all of it begins and ends with you, your purpose, and making sure that your mindset is so solid that no matter what you encounter, you're able to weather those things and keep moving forward.
No, I
Yeah.
like that. It's definitely the mindset when it comes to being an entrepreneur because there's going to be lean seasons and then there's going to be seasons of plenty. But like you said, Roxanne, you got to know that this is what you're called to do and you
Mhm.
just have to work in your purpose. So for our
Yes.
seasoned entrepreneurs, this is my question and they're feeling like they're stuck. What are some trends that are trending now or maybe future trends for business owners that they should lean into in order to make their business successful?
Um, so I'm going to say two to three things. The first is uh, making sure that you have a strong
Yeah.
plan and team. It's important that you build a business
Hmm.
that can still function when life happens, because life happens every day. You can always count on life happening. Something is going to happen in life, right? And you also don't want to be have a business that you're so tethered to the business that you don't have the opportunity to enjoy life because you're
Yeah.
so busy working on the business. So you want to make sure that you have a plan and a team in place to be able to successfully and appropriately maneuver the business in
Hmm.
your absence in a way that's authentic and true to your brand promise and your value proposition. So that's first. The second thing is going to be making sure that you have multiple methods that are in alignment with one another to maintain and sustain your revenue flow. You
Hmm.
have to have a cash flowing business.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a hobby, right?
Yeah.
And who woke up one day and said that I want to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and not get paid?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Nobody in the history
Mhm.
of ever.
Yeah.
No.
Especially, when we're in an environment where things are just so expensive now, you have to make smart financial decisions with your time and with your business. And so you have to make sure that you have multiple ways to generate revenue. Now, I'm not saying be be in the beauty industry and also be in the childcare industry and also be in the credit specialist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying become a master hustler. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Mhm.
saying whatever your industry is, you should have several verticals in that same industry where you're generating revenue, where one is passive, one is active. And make sure you're doing the appropriate amount of business forecasting and planning so that you know and understand where your revenue is coming from and where you have the greatest opportunities to scale and improve for my
That's good.
seasoned business owners.
That's good. So I do have another question that's um it's kind of around the same as far as what you just answered, but just going just a little bit deeper. I know there are a lot of obstacles that can take place, a lot of hurdles that can take place, with being a business owner. So can you just share, again, going back to the new business owner, can
Sure.
you just share some of the obstacles that they may encounter, but then also provide some wisdom and insight on how they can get over those obstacles and those hurdles?
Absolutely. So the number one obstacle that new entrepreneurs face beyond the shocking realization that there is no grant, there is no free money to start your business. So
Right.
once they get beyond that realization and accepting that, the second large obstacle is coming to the realization that your family and friends are not your customers.
Oh, child. Say that again for the people in the back.
Your
For the people in the back.
family and your friends are not that's not where you're going to make your money from.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
may support your business once or twice just to do you a solid,
Yeah.
but you cannot build your business model, your expectations of success, your revenue goals around expecting your family and your friends to support you. It doesn't matter if you're in makeup and all your friends going to get their makeup done. Do not build your business around that. Your feelings are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You're
Real
going to
quick.
be upset. You're going to fall out with people. You're going to be out of money, broken, disgusted, and feeling like
Yeah.
Jesus told you a lie. And that's not true. Because a lot of people say I was in bed one day and the Lord just told me,
Oh
all that
yeah.
stuff. So, which
All the time.
it still connects back to expectations, right?
Yeah.
Making sure
Yeah.
you have clear expectations in the
Yes.
beginning. And so, how do you overcome that? Number one, you account for your friends and family being 1% of your revenue, not 100%,
Oh, that's good. Hmm.
just 1%. And then
Hmm.
realize there are billions of people in this
Yes.
world. Why are you relying on 200 to 500 to make you be successful?
Right. Right.
There are 49 other states beyond the one that you live in.
Hmm.
It's customers in those states too,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so market and promote and reach out to your customer persona outside of your immediate circle. That's where your early success is going to come from. I'm not saying that your friends and family won't buy from you. I'm saying don't build your business model on that expectation alone.
That's good. And it's funny that you say that. A lot of times that is what we are expecting. Especially, when you're excited and you're telling mama and daddy and granny and TT and uncle, you letting everybody know. They're like, oh, let us know, we're gonna buy your shirt, your book. We, like you say, gonna come and get our makeup done, whatever it is. And they usually do start off that way. But when you really think about it, business owners out there, do you really expect them to buy all of your products? Then they're not going to have any money. So
Yeah.
it's like you really, really, really have to think about that. It's almost like we shouldn't even expect that. Yes, we want their support, but to continue to fund our business, that's unrealistic. But just even with you talking about marketing, Roxanne, how important is marketing? Like, should we, market on social media? Should we get billboards? Should we expect our family to share it, or do we need to do it? Do we need to be our own spokespersons? So what are some examples of marketing, and how important is marketing your business?
So it is very important, and you should be
Mhm.
marketing in all the ways, in all the spaces. I am going to say right now, given where we are in the world and what's happening, I would say decrease your amount of emphasis on social media marketing and
Mhm.
increase your amount of emphasis and focus on old school marketing. Old school newspapers do still exist.
Yeah.
So think about newspapers, think about, as you said, billboards. Think about old school coupon envelopes or books. Think about promoting in libraries and chamber of commerces, and a lot of restaurants have those little old school placemats where you can have the business card size advertising. Go back to old school, the way we were doing things before
Yeah.
social media, because a lot of people are choosing to minimize their time on social media or get rid of it altogether.
Yeah.
So you have to be marketing in all the ways and spaces and all of the places where you believe your customer is. So again, make sure you're clear about who it is that you're speaking to and what's their pain point, number one. And number two, make sure you have adjusted messaging points for folks that impact your customer persona in different ways. So maybe your focus is women over the age of 40, right? And that's a teacher and she teaches kindergarten, for example. So when you're doing your marketing, you can certainly create a marketing message to that woman's children or that woman's significant other or that woman's mother. So your language and your key points are going to be a little bit different,
Yeah.
but the overall message is going to be the same, right? Because that kindergarten teacher, she's busy, she's tired,
Right.
she probably don't spend a lot of time just browsing for whatever the thing,
Right. Right.
right? And so you want to make sure you have key messaging points for the different folks that touch in some way, whoever your brand persona is. But I highly recommend folks going back to old school marketing right now in particular, and think about collaborations and strategic partnerships where and when you can. That makes sense to help increase your base of folks that you're marketing to and your clientele potential, especially as a new business owner.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that is good. That is so good. I hope you guys got all of that.
Yes.
Back and rewatch it. You definitely need to make sure that you have your customer persona who are you are marketing to and have different messaging for
Yes.
those customers. That will definitely help. And I love that she said your family and friends, you're not going to get rich. Like just marketing to them and expecting them to support your entire business. Those are
Yes.
good nuggets. And so, since we're kind of like breaking the business down a little bit, so we mentioned just a tad bit about marketing. I want to talk about operations because this is like you're running your business, like the operation of your business. Well, you should be running it from A to Z. How important is having those systems in those structures? And then I know one of your specializations is like the automation. And
Yeah.
oftentimes, because you and I, we work together on this, a lot of businesses don't have them in place. Like how
Yes.
key is that to the operations to running your business? And if you can talk about like the systems and the structures.
It's crucial. I mentioned before that you have to plan and anticipate life happening, and the way you're able to have space for life and being a successful business owner and still keeping your person intact as
Yeah.
an individual is making sure you have the appropriate systems and processes in place from how your business greets a customer,
Mhm.
what's your brand promise, how you fulfill your product or your service, like what happens
Yeah.
after a customer makes a purchase, how you manage your money flow, who your suppliers are. And really the best way to do that is by having an operating manual, right? I call it the Bible of your business.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything that happens in your business needs to be documented, not in your head. It
Mm-mm.
needs to be on a piece of paper
Yeah.
that someone can pick up and understand and follow the steps in
Right.
your absence, one.
Yeah.
Not just in your absence, but also when you're thinking about building a team, they need to be able to reference that document. So making sure that you have a SOP, which is standard operating procedure manual,
Hmm.
is critical. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out. It doesn't need to
Yeah.
look like an encyclopedia off the bat. But if you think about whenever we buy something, there's usually a booklet with some directions.
Hmm.
It's the same for your business. So think about it in that way. So you need to have that. You can use a lot of different tools that you can use to build that from no cost to some cost to a lot of cost. It's really, again, goes back to how much money are you willing to invest into making this happen? So
Yes.
that's the one. In terms of what types of tools or automation should you use, I think when you think about automation, you should think about what parts of your um, business process flow does not need to be handled by a human.
Right.
What I always say is that your time, you should be thinking about any activities that you personally engage in as those activities that are the highest value for your time. You obviously don't want to automate a process where you are trying to identify whether a client is the best fit for you, right? That you really want to have that personal conversation, one-to-one connection with them, especially when you dealing with somebody's money. You don't want there to be any problems, right? Clear expectations on both ends. But simple things like social media posts, easy things like flyers, collateral. Those are fairly easy things you can leverage a technology or a tool to do. Even in terms of putting together your SOP, there are a couple different points like Notion or Trainual, or even a simple Google form that will keep itself updated as you move along, right? So you want to think about those types of things. You also want to make sure that you make it easy for people to spend money with you. Don't make people have to inbox you, if I have to inbox you, I'm not spending any money with you.
I
I'm
hate
not
that.
inboxing you. I do not want to text to do business with you. I can't stand it. Maybe I'm old school. I don't know what kind of school I am, but I don't like I find that to be unprofessional. And it just seems kind of fraudulent. I'm not saying that it is, but that's just the way it
Yeah.
feels,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
iPhone is not going to tell you to inbox them to get the price of their next gadget.
No,
Doesn't
they're
make it.
not.
So make sure you have easy ways for customers to do business with you. Payment processors, a couple I like, Stripe and Moonclerk in particular, where you can set up recurrent payment systems. Make sure you have those types of things in place. Make sure you have a consistent place to store and manage your documents, right? Because if your computer crashes or you lose a member of your team, whatever it is, you don't want to lose all that work that you've done. So you want to utilize things like Dropbox or Box or even Google Drive, to be able to manage your documents, and always operate from the mindset of, if someone came into my business that doesn't do business with me regularly, can they pick up this thing and understand what's going on?
Right.
That's
If
good.
the answer is no, then go back to the drawing board and start over.
Join us next time for part 2. Thanks for joining us today. See you next time.